Okay, hi everyone. How's everybody doing today? Was it a lively first session?
Yes.
Okay, good. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so I'm Katie Martin. I work with CATMA, so I think I've at least tried to introduce myself to most of you, but thank you all so much for being here today. I hope you're enjoying the summit, and we look forward to a good rest of the afternoon. So I'm going to introduce our two speakers today. So presenting on the Closing the Mobility Equity Gap Through Walk to Shop Trolley Initiative. So Peggy O'Neill-Vivanco, are you going to lead us off today?
I'll lead us off.
Okay.
Irene and I will tag team.
Okay, great, awesome. All right, so Peggy is with Vermont Clean Cities. She conducts program outreach and coordination for the Vermont Clean Cities at the University of Vermont Transportation Research Center. So Peggy, I look forward to hearing more. I'm not gonna spend too much time introducing you guys because this is an awesome joint collaboration that you all have going on. So, and then we have Irene KeruBo.
Yeah.
Nope, did I do it right?
Yes,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yay, I've been working on that. So with the AALV, she's a case manager with the East African communities and has an amazing portfolio here. I encourage all of you all to go onto our website and take a look and read a little bit more about Irene. So thank you so much for being here today, and we look forward to your presentation.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Thank you. So, where the heck do I point this? Just do that. All right. So, workshop. I needed our partners to bring our props in. I have a little bit of a mobility issue right now, so I can't carry it heavy. But you maybe saw the display of these bright green trolleys. And that's how I met Irene. So as today we talk in these sessions about equity and engagement and mobility and carbon reduction and emissions, this project, Walk to Shop, is really about a simple tool, a trolley to carry items. We'll talk about kind of our relationship, our like personal, but also like with our organizations as a result of this tool, and how our trolley is driving engagement, which we think is really good. So this trolley, this is a green trolley. Oh, thank you so much. And there's our lovely Anna White. So it's an elegant solution that makes it possible to carry items. It's stylish, it has dignity. And something else about this, you just think, oh, it's just wheels. I mean, it started out with Deb Sachs from Go Vermont, meeting with Irene and Stu, Lindsay, and Phil Hammerslow, kind of basic, incredible characters in Vermont for bike parking and a lot of bike ped work. And Deb met with Irene and a group of Somali women at a Somali tea to talk about a trolley, it may have been blue at the time, and then how this could be useful. So again, this kind of engagement that helped modify this green version. They're like, we need a zipper pouch. We need a zipper pouch in the back. It needs to come off nice and easily. We need something inside that we can put our wallets and our keys.
We need a bigger trolley.
We need a bigger trolley. So this idea of engagement, that it really is, we need the end users to help inform any of our tools. We can't go with this fully baked idea and say, oh, now, what do you think? So if you look at, we look at, electric vehicles and buses, and we need more people on fewer high efficiency vehicles. But we also have folks who are transit dependent. We also have folks who aren't able to drive. And we have folks who have lots of family members, new Americans, folks in rural areas. So this carbon impact here of, a vehicle, and if we can give folks tools to get where they need to go, a connection to the infrastructure, a connection to buses, then we have the trolley at the center of this. And this is one solution of many, right? We need, and I heard this hunting metaphor, not a hunter, but we don't need the silver bullet, we need gold buckshot. We need an all of the above approach. So this is one thing, this is not going to solve everyone's problem, right? But we have emissions, we have savings. So when gas prices were $5 a gallon, if you had to take the bus that's now still fare free, you can still get your food and you're putting money in your pocket, as well as this kind of dignified way to move around. Again, not solving all the issues, but really doing a good part. What our team first did was, I think Phil made a question about the 15-minute neighborhood and this idea of walkability. How do we have compact land use? Again, part of a solution. And so if you look at this red dot, it's like a grocery store, a market, and then these circles are 1,500 steps. That's a 15-minute walk, right? So being able to get your groceries and not have to use a car trip, improved access to food, health and social benefits, building community, and being able to do so in a dignified way. This shopping trolley is for everybody. It isn't just for people who go to the food shelf. It isn't just for people who can afford, $7 for a dozen eggs. It is for everybody. It cuts across our social demographics. And so when we were working with AALV and Irene, the conversation is a little bit different. On the one hand, we want to encourage folks, leave your car at home and take a trolley. And for other folks, they don't have a car. They need to get their food and they need to be able to get it all. And I'm sure we've all carried bags and bundles and you're burdened with a bunch of plastic bags. And if you've got kids, you've got someone's backpack on your back, you've got the plastic bags digging into your arms. It's a schlep and it's terrible, right? So carrying this, and go to our table out there and pick up 20 pounds versus wheeling it in the trolley. So this also allows these food justice communities. So Winooski doesn't have its own supermarket. However, it has a lot of small markets. So it isn't saying that, if you're in Winooski, you are a victim, because a lot of the new Americans are figuring out what it means to kind of get their own food. But the option to be able to take a bus to one of the large grocery stores and be able to cart your stuff back is aided by this.
Yeah, they have ethnic stores within their communities, and so it's better for them to shop there to find food that is familiar to them, food that they cannot find in the major, say, Hannah Foods or Costco. So that is where they go, and then because they have economic issues, they get food stamps, and the food stamps are not enough to, enough for them to sustain it to the end of the month. So they have other options, going to the food shelf, and these food shelves are not on the bus route, and so they have to figure out a way to go and get to the food shelves and get the food back home. So those are some of the issues that came up.
And the 15-minute neighborhood, it means a different thing for different people. So it is that there's kind of more compact land use, and certainly Winooski underscores compact land use. But if you look at, if you're living in Winooski, where am I pointing here? So if you're living in Winooski and you want to go to the food shelf that's on South Winooski, right? It's just outside your circle, still walkable, but everything's a hill, right? And you've got children. So again, it is this access to food when they need it, when they have the means to pay for it, and being able to cart it back. What this project did was it underscored these gaps in transit access. And the conversations that we had, so Irene invited us to another Somali tea. And interestingly, it was so it was so wonderful. My kids are in the Burlington School District, and I know that I did not want to introduce myself. I'm at the university and I'm Department of Energy funded. It just sounds like blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
All I said was like, I have 3 kids. I'm Felipe's mom, because I know that some of them know my son. So it's a way like how, when we're dealing with, when we're dealing with different groups, how do we engage with them? How do we present ourselves? And this idea that Karen Sentoff mentioned, it's bringing the table to them. And in this case, they invited me to their table, and we spoke about, we started bringing up transportation, and the conversation completely shifted to housing. We can't, you know, give everyone an EV and it's still not going to solve our housing problem. It's still not going to solve our access. But from this work, we're able to work with more partners so that we can help amplify the voices and figure out where the pieces of housing and access to food and access to transportation intersect. So we can talk about some of this.
What's Notch?
Oh, Notch, I forget what it stands for. It's up in Richford, and it's a community, like a community grocery store. And they work with health. There's like a health provider across the street. And they're a great partner. They asked, can we have some of these trolleys? And so we sold the trolleys to them and then had Notch distribute to their community members, because they know better, and same thing with AALV, knows better who are the people, the idea that we all have dignity, that we can have what we call skin in the game, so that we have the dignity to be able to put $5 down and say, I own that, that wasn't a hand-me-out, how do you call it, a handout? And our partners know better who can pay that $5 and who really just needs the tool. So it's that kind of engagement. And what we've realized, of course, is that, you know, these rural communities and underserved communities, they're not monolithic. They all have different, issues. There's some similarities, but everyone wants to be validated for kind of what they have. And our work with Irene was engaging users about their needs. Again, my first T was, we started talking about transportation, and then it just became something else.
Right, so like you saw this, was it 2 hours ago when we watched the game with the blocks, right? And we saw how everything was related to the other. So you cannot talk of transportation without talking about the resources that the community has. Do they have transportation to work? If they miss work, are they able to pay their rent? If they cannot pay their rent, that means one less income, and so you cannot sustain yourself to the end of the month. You cannot get to your doctor's appointment. You cannot. So it's all connected. It's a domino effect that triggers the other. So we wanted to talk about the trolley carts, and then it sparked a conversation about the sidewalks. And then it said, you know, forget the sidewalks. What about my house? What about all these other challenges that I have? I can't pay my rent. I have this roaches problem that I inherited when I moved into this house, and it's being pointed back at me. And all these things came up. And so we realized that we have to kind of find a way to give them a way to, you know, speak out and be heard and be seen. So public transportation is an option, as many issues are, but there's so many obstacles to it for them to even just be able to be independent and be able to, you know, just live in a community and feel part of that community. So if we are not giving them this platform to express themselves, then it means that they are invisible, and they're not seen, they're not heard, and they don't matter. So it takes a whole community. And when we invited Peggy and Deb to sit on that table and just listen to the voices, it made such a big difference, because they began to build relationships with the women. When they come to the table, they're not strangers to them. They can call Peggy by her first name, they can call Debbie by her first name, because they sat down and listened to them.
And while we can't, I couldn't solve all their problems, I went home with, kind of on my back carrying what can we do? We can keep listening, we can keep engaging, we can use our platforms to say, okay, Green Mountain Transit, you need to come into this conversation, you need to come here to this conversation. And this idea that relationship building, it's a continual process. Something was so humbling, we had popcorn at that event, and so I was sweeping popcorn, and one of the moms came to me, she was Muslim, and she came to me and she said, we're cousins, and my son is converted to Islam. And I said, oh, well, but it's my son who's converted to Islam, like, I'm just like recovering Catholic, like, no, we're not doing this. And she said, no. She said, she took the broom from me, which was no, I got this. She's like, I'm a mom. And she said, Allah sees all mothers as cousins. And so to me, it just felt like I was part of this, I was allowed into this really kind of sacred space, maybe as a mom, hopefully as a friend, and as a community member. But these take time, and this takes investment. And when we talk about these plans and moving forward, we really need to know that we build on this, and we kind of give this space so that they feel that they're being heard. And figure out ways to solve some of these issues with them, not for them. And compensate them. Do not forget, that is really important. Compensating also our interpreters. One of the things that came up, I remember we were talking about sustainability, and Irene was like, I need to explain what sustainability means. Yeah. It's a concept that is just ingrained in our world, and it isn't like that concept is foreign to them. It isn't like it is not a priority. It's just for different people where it falls, because they're dealing with housing, and they're dealing with food, and they're dealing with jobs, and they're dealing with a sick parent, and the refrigerator broke down, and the insulin is going bad. So it's where people's priorities lie. And who uses a trolley? We want to show that it's for everybody. We've got Champ from the Relay Concert. We have one of our new Americans. It's for old people. These are college students. This is Stu, Deb, and Phil who started it. Here is someone pulling laundry. That this isn't something for somebody else. It is for all of us. Oh, this is you.
The wonderful women that I work with. So these are all women that survived war and came to Vermont as new Americans and from various places. They come from different cultures and different languages. So my job is to assist them integrate into the community and feel at home. So as you have listened to us, you have seen that there's a myriad of challenges that they go through, and we are the handholders. And so if we were to talk about transportation, just picture this, they get here, some of them are not literate, they have never been to a school, they've never had a computer, and they have to figure out how to get around. And so they are at the bus stop and they cannot read what the signs are saying. And when they get to the driver, they have to kind of pay. They have to figure out the money. They have never had that kind of money. Everything is new, right? So they need a lot of help. When they get home, they get all this mail, most of it junk mail, right? They don't know the difference between a bill or the doctor's appointment that's telling them you need to come in. So these are a bunch of challenges. Or even when they're in that bus, how can they ring the driver to say, this is my stop? How can I even figure out where I am, right? So a lot They need a lot of help. So that's one of my jobs. And that is a tool. That is a tool that's practical for them. The women who live in areas where the bus is not accessible, and they had to live there because of the size of their families. So a place like Colchester, the bus doesn't go to all the areas. So they are elderly people, they are women, pregnant, who have to walk. Picture them in the wintertime. They have to walk far. It's relatively far, but still, if you're not dressed well and you have to kind of figure out how to have the children you came with, which are not necessarily their own children, these are war survivors, so sometimes they are adopted kids or just community kids that somehow ended up in this family and they become their own. And so when they come with them. So there's 5, 6 kids, and they have to figure out childcare, they have to figure out school, they have to figure out all that. And sometimes, medical providers don't have reference points about the challenges they come with, and so sometimes have to refer them to special doctors, and the bus doesn't go there, right? So that's them, smiles, happy that someone figured out a way for them to get their clothes to the laundry. The kids can carry the books, the heavy books, to school because they don't have a school bus yet, etc.
And I do want to acknowledge that we have some seed funding from Chittenden County Regional Planning Commission. And we also have a VTrans MTI, Mobility Transportation Innovation, I think that's the acronym, grant to help with the purchase of these, and then we sell them at cost and give discounts and so forth. But again, this engagement, it's engaging with residents where they are. So our conversation with seniors, we work a lot with the SASH coordinators at Cathedral Square, basically Irene's counterparts, because if we can get into a community, the best way is through, I'm going to call you an influencer. She has an incredible social network that we didn't have before we met her, and we didn't have at the senior houses until we worked with those coordinators. So that's the engagement, and then we can engage with the residents. And some of the messages, accessibility, some of it for some of the seniors who have had to relinquish their driving privileges. It's independence, it's autonomy. For this woman at the farmer's market, she needs this because she doesn't drive. Another woman we met at the farmer's market she lives in a house where her washing machine and dryer are in the basement, and she physically couldn't get the laundry basket up and down, so she would throw her laundry down, and now she uses a trolley. So there are just example after example. So it really is engaging with residents and figuring out what are your needs and how can this help. We worked with an intern from Essex Tech, Madison, right here in the blue, and we did this event with seniors, and it was as simple as like, here's the map, grab a trolley, we're going to show you how far it is, how close it is to walk to a store. And so we walked, and this woman here, I think it's really important that we all kind of release our assumptions. And so you think, oh, she lives at a senior, she's privileged, she's this, she's that. We all have our trauma. This woman lost her husband. She doesn't get out. It was just heartbreaking. And she started walking, and her first thing was like, my hip hurts so much. I don't know if I can do this. And we said, okay, we'll go back with you. She's like, let me just keep walking. Let me just try it. She got a stick and she kept walking, and she felt better. She's like, I haven't been out with people before. And so this sense that just this opportunity to go out and try this trolley pulls people out into a community. And then Maddie, that intern, worked with this group in Essex to do Walking Wednesdays. Just this like beautiful, kind high school student who said, okay, every Wednesday, let's go for a walk, and showed up to get people out of bed. So we all have this trauma. Our body doesn't forget that. And I think this tool and this project helps us remember and gives purpose to some folks to move on. And Irene, do you want to talk about this example? This is fantastic. So Tim's house.
Yeah, so these are the women now still in that process of building trust with, what are we called? Walk to shop.
Walk to shop.
And then at this point, we are at the it's summertime, and there was Deb hosted a pool party, which she had to be really, careful about the different cultures and who can expose, and all that. But then we figured out a way. But we were all together. We had food together. She allowed them to cook food in their own culture and just feel at home. They felt at home. So when you step out of your shell and put yourself out there and have deep conversations with your communities, then there's no greater impact that I can think of. So Deb also, I don't know if I'm out of sequence, but she also brought in other partners, like from old folks, because not everybody can drive, right? Yeah. And women kind of figure out other ways. Sometimes they will balance huge bags. I've tried it and didn't, because I never had to do it before. And babies on their backs, and they still can, and they look so elegant, and they can do it. So they bring their bounty from the garden, and they have now another option to put it in your bicycle and get home. Mm-hmm. So that was one of the things that we were talking about here. How can we figure out other ways, other options for transportation, not just the bus, which is not as viable as it would be, even though they're really trying, but they're not serving all. There's some pieces or those gaps we were looking at the tower that were missed. And so this was a wonderful engagement. We talked, and you gather your information, and then you figure out a way to solve.
And so if we look at engagement lessons, at least for us, I like to think about it as a recipe, right? We're kind of coming up to time.
That's it, 3 minutes.
3 minutes, okay.
That's fast.
All right. So if we look at this as a recipe, nothing's going to be perfect. We have to do something. We have to start now. We have to start yesterday. For us, it was demo days, because when you have language and cultural barriers, it's a lot easier to touch, feel, pull, show. Even if you don't have language and cultural barriers, it's nice to see this and interact with this in your own way before you have someone telling you wonky about climate, right? Capacity building, and this is working with our partners, like at the food bank and Olds Folks and AALV, Notch, the regional planning commissions, so that part of the funds in the budget are actually to pay for Irene's time, to pay for SASH coordinators' time while we do these events, to pay for interpreters. We're not going to get anywhere unless we're doing the capacity building to support our partners. And then when we asked Irene, should we have some translated materials? And she said, no, bring this. We don't always need the papers. If someone is not literate, then what are the graphics? So thinking about fewer words, more images. What can we communicate with images? The Be Patient, expand your project timeline. Yes, we thought when we got that CCRPC grant, we're pedal to the metal. It takes time to build all these relationships. to go out to Cathedral Square, to go up to Notch. We have interest in the Upper Valley with Vital Communities. We have interest in Swanton for this. It's moving and it's growing, but we need to build patience because we want to make sure that when we bring this to a community that the right people are with us to talk about and see how do we help you push that out, roll that out. And the cultural identity and needs, they differ. We need to listen a lot more and be patient.
No, I think you captured it. You talk to them, meet them at their point of need, and because that reduces fear and apprehensions, and then just build a positive rapport with everyone, because that's the only way to figure out a community is to understand what's missing. Because I was thinking, that tower was built, but who thought about that design for that tower? It should be a tower that's built so that when one piece is taken off, not everything collapses. So think about all communities, not don't let them be an afterthought. So always, when you're thinking about a community, who's in it, because these new Americans are here to stay. They're not going anywhere. This is their home. They're figuring out a way to stay here. So while they're here, what are we going to do to help include them? So whatever strategy you have, always think that we need to include, make it equitable to everyone.
And the table, this is the metaphor I used last week at a talk. We should talk about inviting people to the table. We need to pick up that damn table and we need to bring it to where other people are. And then see if we're worthy of sitting at that table once we are in that room. Because there's so many important voices, and showing up with a plan that says, this is a done deal, this is the engagement plan, click the box. I got your input. No, it's so that tower is constructed with as many different perspectives as possible from the get-go. I think that's it.
Yay. Thank you. That was awesome. We're over time, but the next session starts at 2:30. So if anybody has any questions and wants to hang out, ask away. I have a question. So I maybe more of a comment. I feel like I was, remember Deb talking about this a long time ago. And when she brought the concept up, people were really confused about what the trolley meant at first. Like, are you bringing a literal trolley to Burlington? Like, that's what, so, and I think when I understood that the tool that she was bringing in, the idea of this tool to a community to open up a conversation and also open up people to living and accessing what they need in their new and for life, hopefully, community. I thought it was really powerful. So I just am like, I even get a little hung up for some weird reason, because I just think it's really outside the box, and I think it's really innovative and creative, and it's so useful. It's so utilitarian in this really simple way, but yet we forget about these types of things that just a little tool can be so much. So I want to say thank you. I can't wait to see what's next and how you guys expanded. The MTI grant, did you just get another round of the MTI grant? Congratulations. I think that's really exciting. I'm really happy.
So we get to
Okay, good. Well, I know they came out recently, so I wasn't sure. Congratulations. And that from CATMA's side of things, if there's any way that we can help continue to talk about this and bring it to other communities and things like that,
It's a tool that's also a program, I feel
Yes,
like. This engagement program.
Right.
You're learning a lot.
Yeah, that's what I'm also interested to hear more, and I'll have to get you guys off the cuff about where do those conversations go? If this is your in this capacity, where, we heard about housing, but then, and then how do you bring in those additional resources then to have to help support community members? Sorry. I'll let Matthew go.
The question is, how can we deploy this, because everybody's been saying this is one thing about finance, which is, that, for me, that's just, already done, finance. It's just, to the point, it makes, to me, it's like the word turns people away because of that. How can we come together in a way and say that, we can, this product will be, how can we diversify this product, make it not only teach what we have here, but make it statewide in a way where in each of the regions, hey, we have a product here. We'll help you up because you say the word finance, you're just gonna walk away. How can we say it in a way where it's more attractive?
Well, that's a great question. We are working on it because we now have partners in the Upper Valley. We've had conversations with Tri-Valley Transit and the hospital in maybe Randolph. And this again, it's end users. The bus drivers on Tri-Valley Transit were saying they're spending their time when they have some of the seniors stopping the bus and taking the groceries off to put in the door for the seniors. So this is like then a transportation efficiency, so we can give someone some independence and also allow the buses to kind of ride more smoothly and efficiently. So it is little by little, we're applying for more grants. We could probably buy, thousands of trolleys on what you would pay for one electric vehicle.
Yeah.
They're figuring it out as they go.
Yeah.
This is new, so.
And I just wanted, one more thing about your presentation that was great, like, it didn't go fast, you wanted it to go faster, or you wanted to, so you're building relationships, grassroots efforts take so much time, but the impact of that when you get there is so powerful and meaningful. Sometimes we get lost with grants, like you gotta spend this money, like right now, it's really hard, and you want to, yes, we all know that. So that's like a whole nother conversation, but I know with the MTI grant, I'm excited that you guys got it again, and the community, it's just like every little year you do a little bit, you take it a little bit.
And we're planning, we got some ARPA funds as well for the community. So again, it is trying to do.
Can you use replace your ride money for that?
That's a good question. We should ask. Yeah.
Do they come with one that it can attach to a bike so that if you were coupling old spokes and?
No, the thing is,
I love that the design elements.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. You would need beefier wheels. These wheels are great for like the sidewalks. You don't have to inflate them, but you would probably need an inflatable, more durable wheel to attach it to the bike if you're going to use it.
Maybe it's the next version.
The next version. I know the bicycle version.
Exactly.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.